What's going on, everybody? So, don't know if y'all could hear me, but it seems ChatGPT can't draw the thumbnail image that I shared with you guys. 1 second. So, I'm gonna share my screen so I show y'all what ChatGPT is saying. All right, I first have to make sure that I can hear this. So let me see here. Okay, good. So I can. All right, y'all. So it appears ChatGPT can't replicate the image you guys see on the thumbnail of this video. And I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. All right, entire screen. There we go. Share entire screen. All right, here we go. So here is. Wait. Where is it? Okay. So we have now. You probably saw it says standing wave. Okay. But we're not going to go into the science aspect of this stuff, but this is how a flower of life replicates itself. Now obviously these are some big radiuses. The radius of this thing is obviously very big, but nonetheless, when it overlaps, it always comes back to the center, always comes back to the source. All right, it's never ending, always connected, hence why you must always stay connected to source, nature, love, etc. Now ChatGPT, people are always, I see a lot of people trying to use ChatGPT as a way to say, oh, it's the end of human intelligence. And of course, since ChatGPT can't really replicate this image, it can only replicate the daisy of death. It is said that the daisy of death has more to do with like being disconnected. So it's no wonder that some people seem disconnected when they're talking about these end of the world scenarios because they're so caught up with the artificial world. It makes you wonder if they are actual humans or artificial beings or they just got programmed. But nonetheless, like you see, we're exploring, standing waves, talking more about that. And ChatGPT can't replicate that image. Here's its explanation. I could take an image of that. Okay, so look. Oh, so here I said recreate it now. This is all it could do, but notice how it has some other. You notice this, you know, and I guess because of the black sun, we were talking about the black sun here. But either way, one thing that I want to point out here is how it mentions vector program. Okay, and how certain computer programs and softwares are created a certain way, not with the same math. Okay. So somewhere, other people are, if they're making computers, they're using computers that use different math. They use the math of spiral source, which you can see right here. So some people create computers based off of this. Others create based off of this. Okay. All right. It's a whole different set of math. So, anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys because it kind of just shows y'all that. 1 second. Kind of just shows y'all that. Hopefully, y'all can hear me and this thing didn't mute me. I'm gonna take it off just in case the microphone was acting up. Yeah. So essentially, what I was saying is that ChatGPT can't replicate this image that you guys see. Hold on, let me see it here. Okay. there was a explanation about standing waves connected to the black sun, light. Sometimes you see certain optical illusion patterns and they look like they're moving. All right, but it's not just an optical thing. It has a lot to do with energy in general. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna repeat it again, energy in general. And if we want to get specific, we can use the words that people use, such as light patterns, waves, um, everything that we see physically with our eyes um, is connected to what is happening energetically. Okay, the manifestations, how light travels, matter, quote unquote. So, anyways, ChatGPT cannot replicate this image for a very good reason, because the mathematics on which most computers are created with aren't based off of the 0 point, as we call it, source. Okay, they're based off of the idea of extracting energy from a source or what that source creates and consuming it versus looping it. This is the explanation right here. I'm going to share my screen again. This is the explanation it gives, all right, as to how it placed and how it generated its stuff. Okay. Why it does it actually duplicate the exact same thing. Okay. All right. Now, in terms, what we have to remember is that this represents coming back to the source. These circles, big radius, right? But they come back to the source, then they shift a little, then they come back, shift a little, then they come back, it repeats, always coming back, right? That's a whole different set of mathematics. That's 0 plus 1. Oh, well, I'll show you right here. 0 and 1, and then 0 and 1 is 1, then 0 and 1 and 1 is 2. But with the other form of mathematics, we have 1 times 1 equals 2. Okay. So this set of mathematics and this set of mathematics, how this branches away from the 0 point or from the source, is the reason you have these numbers versus right here. Okay. In biology, you have one cell, everything coming from the source. So in one cell, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now. One cell, when it duplicates itself, 1 times 1 equals 2. It multiplies. Now in math, you're taught 1 times 1 equals 1. Basically trying to replicate that the source or origin of a manifestation, 1 being that representation, let's say, is 1. So what they did in that kind of mathematics would show you that the 1 represents the 0, the singularity point. Okay. So the 1 representing the singularity point. The 1 representing the singularity point gives you a whole set of different math, different equations, different forms of functioning. Okay, even with your computers, even with how you build, all right, things you build, architecture, etc., how you understand your energy, yourself. Okay, always putting things outside versus coming back to the source. Okay, it all intertwines. So when we go back to zero, all right, and we utilize zero, okay, then look at a different set of math. So it's not to say that there aren't people whose computers don't function like this with this kind of mathematics. Because I mean, in coding, you have 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 0. You have binary. Okay. In coding, you have binary. But I'm gonna add a zero too. Pardon me. But other people have other coding programs in their computers that isn't confined to just binary. Some people do experiments in electricity that works with the central point. And since it's all about, in summary, since this all basically has to do with coming back to source, this is why this concept of coming back to source is the driving force with why a lot of people are being more self-sustaining. They're comprehending laws. They're connecting these dots to life and the many things that are manifested in life and economies. And they're realizing that, well, you can be self-sustaining. Something like the image of the lotus of life is a self-sustaining loop. What is produced is recirculated because it's connected to it anyways. So, anyways, hope you guys like that little side video here. I'm gonna continue to do other things that I need to do right now, y'all. Peace.